Welcome back to 7,000 Volts Living an Electrified Life. Today's topic, superheroes. And I have a special superhero this today, my children's kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Merrer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You know, this is a pleasure to have you on the show. You talk about superheroes, people think about Superman, people run around with capes and stuff on. But the true superheroes are people like you to do what you've done. And you have had an impact on my life and my children's lives. And we're very, very grateful for that. So welcome to the show, Mrs. Merrer, the superhero.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you've been teaching for over 2 decades.
Yes, going on 3 decades.
Going on 3 decades.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So what's your inspiration to go in year in, year out to do what you do? Can you kind of explain to the audience and just talk about, and I know you probably didn't, if you like that title superhero, but you are, like, that profession is like you're the defense mechanism to the minds of children.
Right.
And you've had the pleasure, and we've had the pleasure of you teaching all 5 of our children.
Yes, I have.
And Mr. David he's 5 this year, and he's number 5.
Yep.
And he'll be starting in your class.
That's right.
This school year.
Yes, very excited.
Tell us what inspired you to become a teacher.
I think for myself, when I was a teenager, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a doctor or a nurse, and went about volunteering in a hospital, found I liked giving and caring for people, but the academics to be a doctor or nurse were not my favorites. Lots of science, lots of math.
Yes.
But all the surveys you take when you're in high school, everything kept saying, you'd be good as a caregiver or a social worker or a teacher. So my next thing in high school was I volunteered at my church for Sunday school. And that's kind of where I started feeling my best and comfortable. And those Sundays just brought me to the path of, this is what I'm going to do in college. And just being around children, enjoying children, and seeing the difference I made just from Sunday to Sunday, I made a difference.
Yes.
I was excited to see what would happen when I'm with them every day. So just being a part of children's lives and caring for them and nurturing them and helping them learn and grow is kind of the beginnings of my career of teaching.
You teach and you influence in a way that you don't even realize with the children. One of the things my children, they like the animal you chose, the manatee. The manatee class.
Mrs. Merrer's manatees.
Yeah. So what about manatees do you like, and why you chose manatees?
I think I had seen another school encompass making learning fun by having each grade level kind of pick a theme. And so I brought that idea back to my kindergarten team. I thought, wouldn't it be fun if we had a theme for our class, and it kind of helps identify us as a family together. You have Gums Gators and, Miss Merrer's Manatees and Hardballs Flamingos. And we just kind of picked an animal that may match our name, but an animal that, is fun that kids would enjoy. Yes. And, Mrs. Merrer's mice or mouse, monkeys. And so I went with manatees because of their just calmness and gentleness.
Yes.
And just that they're not scary and they're cuddly and lovable.
Yes.
And we're in a state where we have manatees, and we also need to protect and care for them. So kind of using that as our mascot to encompass just a real good, wholesome community.
A two-on-one. They get to learn the educational part and how to protect and be a voice for the manatees.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. What you consider your superpower of teaching? What is your superpower when you're dealing with the children?
I think we as teachers take on many roles. Yes. Not just being what we're called a teacher. Sometimes we have to act like a doctor or a nurse and take care of kids who have upset tummies and don't feel good or have boo-boos. We're somewhat like law enforcement, resolving conflict between one child and another. Counselor listening to their feelings and emotions and helping them conquer and deal with things that might affect them outside of school and helping them feel comfortable in school. So lots of different hats that we wear. But I think for myself, my teaching style is about structure. And
Yes.
in that structure, building a classroom community of respect
Hmm.
and of mutual respect among
Yes.
myself and the children with themselves and with me. Um, Without that structured environment, we wouldn't have a successful classroom. Um, it take a lot of time building that structure in the beginning. So the next couple of weeks as your son enters kindergarten, he's going to be working together with us to build a classroom community of learners that have respect for each other, that we learn to listen to one another, that we learn how to be a family at school.
Yes.
My other style, I think, for myself is I am firm with
Yes.
kindness.
Yes.
So I'm pretty firm, but I have lots of love and kindness that go with that. And as we build the relationship as a class, they'll understand that too. Miss Merrer's not going to play,
Yeah.
but Miss Merrer also loves you, and we're going to work together to be one class community.
I can tell you as a parent, um, with my oldest son Jeremiah and then my daughter Olivia, you had a great impact on Olivia. She's like the structure, you know, that you instilled in kindergarten. It just amplified what we taught and teach at home. But she admires you so much. I think it was remarkable to find out that you played the flute. And
Yes.
Olivia, she plays piano, but she also plays the flute, and
Yeah.
the flute is her favorite instrument. And I think when she found out you played the flute, became even more of her favorite. She's like,
Oh,
"Oh, Mrs. Mayer played the flute as well too."
that's great. I
And
love
so
that.
she still talks. She's in middle school now, but she's
I
still talking
know.
about Mrs. Mayer. She loves you just tremendously, and because you had a profound impact on her life, it's like, man, and and what's remarkable about it is, no disrespect to my kindergarten teacher, but I can't even remember her name.
Hmm.
And so that's the impact that you've made on this family. Like, 'cause, like, who can remember their kindergarten teacher's
Right.
name?
Right.
You know, they had to be a superhero.
Right.
And so, because of that superhero role that you've played in many lives, I know it's many more. If we was to do a survey or something and did a luncheon or something and put a call out on Facebook, you probably have thousands and thousands of people that showed up in support of you because of the impact that you've had in their life.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. Every superhero has their journey that they go on, and they have those challenging moments. Share with us some of those challenging moments that you've had.
I think for myself, the challenging moments is always going to be what's in front of me in the classroom. I don't worry about the politics. I don't worry about the funding.
Amen.
Don't worry about all that.
Yeah.
It's when I shut my door, what are my challenges right here in my room?
Yes.
Um, it's mostly probably going to be students that may have special needs, because not every one child is the same.
Yes.
So finding a way to help that child with what they need, specific to them, sometimes is a challenge. And what worked on one day might not work the next day.
Yes.
What I did 10 minutes ago might not work 20 minutes in the future. So constantly either researching if a student has a special need and understanding, talking to the people that deal with that child, giving me tips and tricks to help me with that child, is that's a challenge, because then I have to remember, wait, I still have 18 other kids as
Yes.
well. So managing the special needs of not just kids with disabilities or have special needs, but also all the children. So not forgetting that they need attention too. So sometimes that's a challenge to make sure that I'm there for every single child.
Yes.
So building the classroom community helps me help them. So if they know that there's a friend who needs more support, as a classroom community, we already understand that,
Mhm.
and be respectful of the fact that these couple kids need a little bit more. So you guys know what you're going to be doing to help me help them and for you to help them. So that's why that's the challenge of making sure that we can get through the day. And I have no control over everything else.
Yes.
Just when I
Yes.
shut the door, it's what's in my room.
Amen to that. And that's a good mindset. This is what makes, again, you a superhero. This is what makes you very authentic and
Mhm.
unique as a teacher, regardless of the grade level. Because I'm sure there's other tutoring and stuff you do with your own children and stuff. And this is, you know, having 5 children and going through this process from the oldest to the youngest,
Mhm.
understanding just life in general. I wish I had you as a kindergarten teacher. I was like, oh man. I said, my kids are blessed. They don't realize how good they got it because it was different because we
Oh,
moved
yeah.
around a lot when
Mhm.
it was good. So we went to different schools and
Mhm.
stuff. And it was like, I can't even tell you all the different schools that we went to,
Yeah.
but that's what made me who I am today. I said, you know what? My kids are not going to have to do that.
Mhm.
And man, once with my oldest son, Jeremiah, he had kindergarten when I'm like, I don't know how many kids I'm going to have, but they're going to have her.
Oh, I
But,
remember this as you keep having more and more
but
kids. I'm like, uh-oh, I have to stay at this school. I can't leave yet until I'm done all the Tuckers.
yes, yes. And so it's definitely a blessing to see somebody uh, as a superhero as yourself. And I'm going to continue to refer that to you because that's what you truly are. But you're really, really good at what you do. You're good at your craft. You've became an expert in the field of teaching, an expert with connecting with the kids. And this is what this podcast is about showing that you can do great things with
Mhm.
the right mindset.
For
And
sure.
and if you stick to something long enough, you're gonna be a professional at it. You're past a professional at it, like
Right.
almost 3 decades. That's impressive. We live in a different generation where people can't even keep a job for a good 3 weeks,
Mhm.
and which is sad because it doesn't matter what it is that you do. If you do it with passion and conviction and with the right mindset,
Mhm.
it's all things are possible.
Absolutely.
Because we make a difference directly and indirectly in people's lives, regardless
Every
if we
day.
know.
Mhm.
And I can only imagine the lives that you've impacted in the classroom and outside of the
Mhm.
classroom with children that's in your class, outside your class, other teachers that come and go,
Mhm.
and you're still steadfast and holding the fork down, just leading the way. Because that's very, very impressive.
Thank you.
And that's, to me, that's what makes you one of the ultimate superheroes.
Thanks.
If we had to go do a mission or something, you'd be on my team. I'm like, I know what superhero I'm calling. I'm calling that I want on my team to be a part of that administration.
Mhm.
In life, we all grew up with superheroes. Like when I was young, I was like, I always wanted to be Superman.
Mhm.
Like, who was your superhero figure that you looked up to growing up?
Growing up, I would have to say probably the women in my life. My mom had me very young,
Mhm.
so she struggled to, be a single mom, and lived at home with her mom. So I had my nana and my mom,
Mhm.
and just watching those ladies um, work hard, take care of one another, and be a provider. So seeing that work ethic, and then seeing my mom over the years raise the family, still working hard. I always valued hard work. Started working when I was in before high school, washing
Okay.
school buses of all things.
Mm.
Um, Working at the grocery store, working my way through that, like just hard work. So my family members always working hard, was kind of like my role model to see that superhero, like
Yes.
that they can persevere through lots of things through hard work.
Yes. And that's a blessing that you would say that because we sometimes we emulate what we see when we was growing up.
Hmm.
And so sometimes there's a saying that's like sometimes you're the only Bible somebody's going to pick up and read. So
Hmm.
lead a good example.
Hmm.
And sometimes you do that through hard work and sacrifice and things like that.
Hmm. For
That
sure.
that's what helps. And that's such a blessing that you gravitated to, because sometimes, regardless of the background that you come up in, we get misinformation, uh, f- regardless of where the source comes from,
Hmm.
and we gravitate the wrong way,
Yep.
and it becomes repeated cycle, mistake after mistake, and
Hmm.
and then we can't find our way back to something so simple as salt and pepper to cook your steak.
That's right.
Yeah, we talked about in the episode one time just keeping it simple.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the science method,
Yes.
fact checked all the information versus
Yes.
going with the flow, going with what you hear,
Yep.
and just because somebody said it doesn't make it true. Okay, so speaking of legacy, what is the legacy you want to leave with your kids and your students as a teacher? Like, what legacy would you like to leave behind?
As teachers, of course, we want all of our kids to learn. We want them to learn and get to the next grade level. But I think over the last 10 years or so, I don't want them just to be able to read and write. I want them to also be a productive human,
Yes.
um, be a lifelong learner in all the things that they do besides academics. Learn how to be a human that is kind to other people, be a good human that can be a good listener, be a good human that can communicate, express themselves, advocate for themselves, speak up when they need help, be a human that has empathy and understands others' feelings, have compassion to help when others need help. So, a lot of things that we do during the school day, I, of course, relate everything to the academics. This is going to help you this because you're reading. This is going to help you this because you're writing. It's going to help you when you have to get gas for your car. This is math. But then the other parts are, when you're at the grocery store and you have to buy something, you need to be able to communicate. You need to
Yes.
be able to talk. Or if you need something like at a restaurant, your mom's not going to sit there and order for you the whole time. You need to learn to communicate. Excuse me, I would like. Just teaching them how to be a productive human that knows how to do things. They have to be able to listen, speak, understand other people's feelings, and advocate for themselves. And
Yeah.
then be a problem solver. That's kind of like our second part of the year. Once we learn all those other things, now we have all these skills. How can I be a problem solver when things come up in a
Yes.
respectful and manner that still has compassion?
Yeah. That's it's interesting, and I love that because it's like what we teach our kids at home, they're getting it at school. It's like the second, it's like they're getting it twice, and it's like,
Yes.
and you don't get that all the time. It's not because sometimes, and it's unfortunate, whether it's a teaching job or it's a job as a garbage man or it's a job as a painter. Sometimes people get the job for the paycheck, and they realize it. They don't realize that there's an opportunity there to. It's more than a check.
For
It's more
sure.
than just making money. You have the opportunity to make an impact
Yep.
in somebody's lives. And again, a teacher has so much impact more than they ever know because the words have power, and becomes your superpower because the Bible tells us there's life and death in the power of the tongue. And then when you go to school and get what you're getting at home, it's just it's such a blessing. And sometimes these kids don't get it at home.
Mhm.
And so when they come into your classroom, it's the first time they're really feeling that compassion and that love. And then that's the first time that light goes off, that there's hope.
Mhm.
There's a glimmer of hope, and they gravitate to it. And sometimes as a teacher, you're the only beacon of light
Mhm.
that they get. So it's admirable that you go above and beyond to do what you do. And it's both impressive and admirable. And I'm grateful. Uh, Again, I'm so very grateful that I chose to stay in the city of Oldsmar because I can't. This was just supposed to be a stopping place for me
Mhm.
when I first moved out from home. Like I'm not going to be staying in Oldsmar. When I get my stuff together, I'm out of here. And here, a few decades later, I'm
Yes.
still here.
Yes.
I've made it my home. I built, raised, and we built the beautiful family here.
Mhm.
We started a beautiful business here, and we're still here. It's a hidden gem, but we couldn't have been in a better district for school because this is it's we've become lifelong friends because of
Yes.
it,
Absolutely.
and it's not every day you can say, "Man, I know a true action figure, a true superhero." Not only are you a professional in teaching, you're a superhero at it. What advice do you have for other people aspiring to be a teacher and to go into teaching field?
That's a good question. I am the lead mentor teacher at our school. So every year I'm tasked with helping new teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we have many, I'm tasked with helping new teachers and the mentors at our school. So I think one thing I always come back to is you have to build the relationships.
Yes.
Yes, we have things we have to teach, we have a timeline. But if you don't have the relationships with your children, when you shut that door, that's what matters is
Yes.
the relationship with the children. So helping new teachers learn, how do I build relationships with the students? And there's a variety of ways to do that through community building activities, of course, having fun, but really having the children know that my teacher's really listening to me. My teacher remembered things that I said. making them feel valued, and that they know their teacher likes them, they're going to do good work, even
Yes.
when they struggle. For new teachers not to be hard on themselves. We all make mistakes. We're human.
Yes.
That's one thing that I always tell children is mistakes are good because we
Mhm.
learn and grow from them. If we didn't have mistakes, we wouldn't learn, we wouldn't
Yes.
grow. So allowing teachers to understand that they're going to make mistakes too, but acknowledge them, make it better the next day. Even apologizing, sometimes we have to say, I'm sorry to our class.
Yes.
So no teachers sometimes feel like they have to be perfect.
Mm.
So they don't have to be. And also they need to ask for help. Don't just shut the door and be there by yourself struggling, but also ask for help. It's a journey.
Yes.
And, we all start off in our careers a little rough and raw, but through good mentorship and good relationships with the people you work with,
Yes.
and building that confidence in the classroom helps people become more successful in this job.
Yes. This show is coming to an end. I really appreciate your presence of being here. And before we go, my kids wanted to give you a card.
Oh.
And because we really appreciate you. And they want to present it to you with this award of recognition.
Oh, that's so great.
Yes, because this is how we feel. And I'll read it. Award of recognition to Genie Merrer. For over 2 decades of teaching kindergarten, your dedication and commitment to your students is greatly appreciated. We are thankful that the 5 Tucker children are a part of your legacy. Thank you for shaping their hearts and minds with such passion and care.
Oh, that is
You
wonderful.
are a hero for
I
the Tucker
love
family.
that.
Yes, yes.
You guys are like my family. When I always see you all, it's like, there's my Tucker family.
Yes,
oh,
yes.
That's wonderful.
And this is your box. You can put it in.
Okay,
back
perfect.
in.
I
And
love that.
we really appreciate you. And thank you for coming to the show to share your story, because there's a teacher that don't know that they're a teacher yet that's going to see this episode. There's somebody that's on the fence of teaching or career or the next step. And when they see this show, that's going to be inspired that somebody that did it, not for the money, but they became a professional at what they do. And what you've done over the years, you made an impact. And because I'm speaking from experience from my 5 children, and I've seen it with my own eyes. So we've done the science method, as I talked about in other episodes, and we have something, because I always hear the horror stories from different people, like, oh, this teacher, she's got it bad for my son. I'm like, man, that's crazy. Like to hear those stories is like, it's simple. If you don't want to teach, find a different career. Like,
True.
Misery loves company. Why you got to make other people's lives miserable?
Yes, yes.
And so when you find something good, believe it or not, I wanted to build the house somewhere else, but
Oh, I remember.
yeah, it's like,
I remember you were going to do that, and you wanted me to change schools. I'm like, I'm here. You got to stay here.
I'm like, and that was part of the reason to stay. I said, well, we got to get all the kids through kindergarten, because she's going to be the kindergarten teacher for them. It's like, and so that's how much you impact people's lives on decisions whether they're going to move or not. It's because when you find something good, why change it up? And you only get one shot when you're raising kids, and you don't want them to be impacted the wrong way.
Right.
And we thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yes,
you guys are wonderful.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your time. Remember, my book is coming out pretty soon. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us at ljtucker.com. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great week.